A steel frame goes over the side of a ship in the Western Pacific. No engine, no pilot, no cable holding it. It tips below the surface and it begins to fall. It will keep falling for the next 4 hours. Where it's going, the water presses down with 8 tons on every single square inch, enough to crush a steel submarine like an empty can. There is no light down there. There has never been light, and the temperature sits barely 1 degree above freezing. This camera is heading for the lowest point on the surface of our planet, nearly 36,000 feet beneath the waves. And when its lights finally switched on, at the bottom, something down there was alive. Everything below 6,000 meters has a name of its own. Scientists call it the hadal zone, named after Hades, the ancient underworld. It isn't one single place. It's roughly 27 deep trenches scattered across the planet like cracks running through a windshield. And the deepest of all of them lies out east of the Philippines, the Mariana Trench. At its very lowest point sits the Challenger Deep, 10,935 meters, 35,876 feet, measured now to within 6 meters. Take Mount Everest, drop it in, and the summit would still be sitting under more than 2 kilometers of open water. Over 600 people have flown into space. Several thousand have stood on the summit of Everest itself. Roughly 24 human beings in all of history have ever reached the bottom of the Challenger Deep, which means almost everything we know about that place we learned from machines we dropped over the side and hope to see again. The machine is called a lander, and the clever part is that it has no engine, no thruster, and no steering at all. It's built to float, then deliberately weighed down with heavy iron ballast until it has no choice but to sink. The cameras and lights ride inside spheres of titanium and thick glass. A sphere is the only shape that doesn't care which direction the pressure comes from. And bolted to the front of it, bait, usually a dead fish. Because you cannot chase anything down there. You can only invite it. It sinks at about 39 meters every minute. That's slower than you walk down a hallway. 4 hours of falling, then hours sitting in the dark, filming. Then a thin wire quietly corrodes through and the iron drops away. And the whole machine floats back up through 4 hours of blackness, carrying whatever it managed to see. So, let's follow one down, all the way. The first 200 meters are the ocean you already know. Blue water, warm light, fish you could probably name. Then the colors start to vanish in order. Red goes first, then orange, then yellow. Everything fades to the same flat, cold blue. At 200 meters, the sunlit ocean officially ends, and what biologists call the twilight zone begins. This is where sperm whales hunt, diving into total blackness, finding squid using nothing but sound. And then, at 1,000 meters down, the very last photon of sunlight disappears, permanently. Below that line, every single light you will ever see is made by something alive. And most creatures down here do make their own light, glowing to hunt with, to hide behind, to find each other in the dark. The lander falls straight through all of it, without stopping. 3,700 meters. Back in 2016, a NOAA robot filmed this, close to the Mariana Trench. A jellyfish that honestly looks designed, rather than evolved. It was completely new to science, and the footage went around the world. At 4,000 meters, we reach the abyssal plain, which happens to be the single largest habitat anywhere on Earth. And down here, there is one problem that outweighs every other problem. There is essentially nothing to eat. Everything alive is waiting on scraps drifting down from the sunlit world above. A slow, constant drizzle that biologists call marine snow. So when something large dies and sinks, that one body can feed an entire community of animals for decades. At 6,000 meters, the abyss ends, and the lander is still falling. Now, it passes into the trench itself. Here's the part almost nobody expects about a deep ocean trench. It isn't simply deeper, it's shaped like a funnel. Steep walls, kilometers tall, all tilting inward. And anything that falls onto those walls eventually slides down them. Earthquakes shake the slopes loose, landslides sweep material downward, and every bit of it collects in the same narrow place. So the deepest point on Earth turns out not to be the emptiest place on Earth. It's a trap. A trap that has been patiently collecting food from an entire ocean for millions of years. And that is exactly why everything that happens next is even possible. Somewhere past 6,000 meters, the lander's lights catch something pale, moving slowly across the sediment. A snailfish, soft, scaleless, almost see-through, far closer to jelly than to muscle and bone. It carries no swim bladder because a pocket of gas at this depth would be crushed flat in an instant. In the Mariana Trench, these animals live down to around 8,000 meters, and nothing with a backbone does it better. In August 2022, a team from Australia and Japan lowered a baited camera into a trench south of Tokyo. At 8,336 meters, a young snailfish swam calmly into the frame and started feeding. That is the deepest fish ever recorded, and it is very likely close to the deepest fish anyone will ever record. Because there is a wall waiting down here, and that wall isn't made of rock. It's made of chemistry. Deep sea fish resist pressure using a molecule called TMAO. It braces their proteins so they don't buckle and stop working. The deeper a fish lives, the more of it that fish carries in its body. It's an elegant, simple solution. But follow the numbers down, and at somewhere around 8,200 meters, the fish's own cells become as salty as the seawater outside. The trick simply runs out, and below roughly 8,400 meters, a full quarter of our ocean, there are no fish at all. The lander drops straight through that invisible line, 9,000 meters, then 10,000. And it is still not falling through an empty ocean. Within minutes of the bait settling into the mud, they arrive in their thousands, amphipods, pale, twitching, shrimp-like scavengers. And one of them does something that sounds completely made up. Down here, the water chemistry slowly dissolves its own shell. So it produces acid, uses that acid to pull aluminium out of the seafloor mud, and wraps itself in a protective aluminium gel. An animal that mines metal out of the ground to build its own armor. That is real. And it lives at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Its enormous cousin is stranger still. The supergiant amphipod, which grows to 34 centimeters long. And sitting on the sediment beside them, xenophyophores, delicate, branching, fragile things, bigger across than your open hand. And every one of them is a single cell. No brain, no organs, no heart. One cell, the size of your fist. 10,935 meters. The lander has finally touched the bottom. So what is actually down there? For 50 years, the answer came from two men sitting inside a steel ball. January 1960, Jacques Picard and Don Walsh. 20 minutes on the bottom, with a cracked window beside them. And Picard reported watching a flatfish swim calmly away across the mud, right in front of the porthole. It became the single most famous sighting in ocean history. It is also, almost certainly, wrong. In 2012, scientists took the claim apart. No camera since has ever found a fish there, and the chemistry we just walked through forbids it. It was most likely a sea cucumber. Walsh himself later admitted the stirred-up sediment made it like staring into a bowl of milk. That same year, James Cameron went down there alone and described what he found as a barren, desolate, lunar plain. No monsters, nothing longer than an inch. Only amphipods, drifting sediment, and mud. But scientists brought that mud back up, and the mud turned out to be the most surprising discovery of all. The sediment at the deepest point on Earth burns through oxygen twice as fast as the seafloor 5 kilometers above it. In 2025, a survey of it turned up more than 7,000 microbial species, and nearly 90% were unknown to science. The deepest place on our planet was never a dead world. It's the busiest room in the entire ocean, and we have only just switched